Well, before he stepped in front of Congress to deliver last night's State of the Union address, the president's campaign team made it clear that this speech would frame the re-election effort. The president spent a lot of time talking about fairness as he tried to sell the idea of a tax hike on the upper tax brackets. But does that appeal to a broad part of the country? Or is it more of the so-called class warfare that has divided Washington and the electorate? Here's the president and then the GOP response.
Tax reform should follow the Buffett rule. If you make more than $1 million a year, you should not pay less than 30% in taxes. Now, you can call this class warfare all you want, but asking a billionaire to pay at least as much as his secretary in taxes? Most Americans would call that common sense.
No feature of the Obama presidency has been sadder than its constant efforts to divide us, to curry favor with some Americans by castigating others. As in previous moments of national danger, we Americans are all in the same boat. If we drift, quarreling and paralyzed over a Niagara of debt, we will all suffer, regardless of income, race, gender, or other category.
And joining me now to discuss it, our panel, half Democrats, half Republicans today. Let me start with you, Doug Schoen. Sure. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
As a Democrat, does the president strike a note that's going to sell with the electorate here?
Well, Megan, I worked for Bill Clinton, and we consciously tried to bring people together in the State of the Union. I think that, regrettably, while class warfare sounds very good in the abstract in a speech last night, as a practical matter, dividing people and saying you want to raise taxes and redistribute, ultimately in the course of a campaign, probably divides and probably hurts.
Alice Benjamin, you're a Democrat too. Even if it's just the rich, we're going to hike the taxes. Now he's talking about people who make over $1 million. That's going to divide people?
I actually don't think it's going to divide people, and I actually think it's better for the nation. And I just think that we just need to get over this and work together as a people and realize that what President Obama is trying to put forward is something that will work. We just need to give it the opportunity to work.
Mary Walter, you're a Republican.
Could be a sign of the coming apocalypse, because I agree with Doug. No, but I think that it will divide people, but it will unite a great portion of people, because no one thinks they're
99%
rich.
of the country.
Right, nobody thinks they're
He's only talking
rich.
about the million. People who make $1 million or more. Don't we all hate them?
And it sells, and it doesn't matter whether it's accurate or not. It doesn't matter if what he's saying is true or not. What matters is it's a good soundbite and it sells.
Talk to me politically. I mean, even if you don't make $1 million, even if no one sitting on this panel makes $1 million, I don't know what your finances are. Isn't it easy to say, let's get those people who do? Those are the ones we want paying more. How is that politically risky, Steve Stone?
Well, it's very simple to say that. It's campaign jingoism. That's how Barack Obama plans on getting reelected. This is a man who campaigned 4 years ago about bringing people together and a whole new atmosphere in Washington, D.C. And what we have right now is more divisions in our country than we ever had before. This is a man that thrives on division. He pits one class of people against another class of people. That's his path that he believes for re-election.
But he was saying, look, we can either make the millionaires pay more, or you're going to have to make cuts in the military or in healthcare or in education. Is that a real point, or is that a Hobson's choice? Go ahead, Greg Gianforcaro.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, you know, I kind of see where Steve's coming from, because, you know, on the one hand, he's saying we've got to tax the rich more. But on the other hand, he's saying we've got to allow tax incentives for small businesses. So you're kind of saying to the small business person, look, do well, and then once you hit it out of the box and you become wealthy, then we're going to penalize you for being wealthy.
Yeah, you Democrats on this panel do not sound like Democrats.
Yeah, I know.
Let me try you, Ralph Aversa. You're a Democrat as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think that would be a good problem to have, though, if you were that wealthy and then you had that problem. I mean, a lot of these small businesses can't even get off the ground because of the current tax code and because of the current state of our country.
Did anybody think it was effective to have Warren Buffett's secretary there? No. You see her sitting there. This poor woman is paying a higher tax rate than Warren Buffett, the billionaire. Yeah, I mean, do you think that the average person at home is responsive to that? Jay Townsend, Republican.
That's not what he said. Look at the words. She pays more taxes than Warren Buffett, which is an absolute and total falsehood.
That's right.
She doesn't. She pays a higher tax rate. But the Democrats in the Senate are the ones that protected this stuff, and this was really a reference to Romney in his wealth. This is typical Democratic populism, but here are some facts. The math doesn't compute. You can confiscate every dime that the millionaires make, and it still will not solve the deficit problem and the spending problem that Obama has rung up.
But isn't it? But is that the way people think? Do the regular American
Well,
folks out
this
there?
is the
I mean, I'm
dialogue
thinking of
we're
like
going
my
to have.
mom and my stepdad sitting there making very little money, thinking I'd rather see the millionaires taxed more than me. That's that's how they think. Go ahead, Kyle Harrington, Republican.
Megan, I think it's a good point to have a discussion about the tax code, okay? But be very careful. I mean, Barack Obama is very crafty and creative when it comes to his words. So there's capital gains tax, there's personal income tax, there's real estate taxes. So which is he speaking about to say that his Warren Buffett's secretary pays more than Warren Buffett in taxes? Okay,
Tax rate.
Which taxes?
Hers is higher than his is. The other thing the president suggested was essentially that we're going to tax people who make $1 million or more a 30% tax rate. Now that would basically double the capital gains tax rate. Now the capital gains, the reason it's low, 15, is because we want to encourage investment. That we believe that's good for the country. It's good for creating jobs. Doubling it, controversial, Doug?
It's going to hurt economic growth. We lowered the capital gains rate under Bill Clinton to stimulate the economy. No plan for growth, no plan to create jobs. Very good political theater, Megan. I don't think good governance, and I don't think it's ultimately going to play well.
Is that the problem, Tracy Davis? When you boil it down to actual policy, it may not fly, even though it sounds good in a sound bite.
It's sort of the same old policies that he's been trying for the last 3 years. Bigger and bigger government, more regulation, taking away incentives for people who can create more jobs for the other people. This is the class of people that can stimulate the economy, spend money in the economy, and grow more jobs. I'd rather have them have the money go that way than give the money to the government.
I want to ask you about another soundbite that the president gave last night that he's taken a little heat for. People are saying he misunderstands the nature of America, and they're pointing to this soundbite as an example. Watch this.
No one built this country on their own. This nation is great because we built it together. This nation is great because we worked as a team. This nation is great because we get each other's backs.
And now some are responding saying it's based on an individual Bill of Rights, the power of an individual to overcome circumstances and so on. It sounds like you want to take this one,
Yes,
Tracy.
I do. He has done exactly the opposite. This man has shown no intention to work with Congress. When I was working for the president, I was also very good friends with the late Senator Ted Kennedy.
You worked for Bush 41.
And I also worked, well, I did work for Kennedy also, but that was when I was younger, but we were still very good friends. The president knew how to be a leader and work with Congress. And that is the difference. This guy has shown no...
But he seemed to be getting at
so
we as
divisive,
individuals are
and
supposed
it's
to
the
have each
same
other's
thing
back.
that he's always done.
He's trying to foster the atmosphere of rely on the government will meet all your needs, because that's what he believes in, whereas that's not what built America. That is not what built America.
We also need individual initiative. All we got was common purpose. Individual initiative is, by the way,
do you think, Steve, that is shifting an approach to being an American that reflects his vision of being an approach that is not consistent with America?
What he very cynically misses is the exceptionalism of the American people. The fact that we are a unique country, that we strive for the best, that we thrive on crises, and that what he is lacking is the leadership to connect with the American people and take us out of the crisis.
But Ralphie, what's wrong with encouraging people to have each other's backs? I mean, are we seeing too little of that in today's day and age?
Oh, we absolutely are seeing too little of that. And again, I don't understand all of this divisiveness talk when Obama is essentially trying to unite that 99%. That's obviously a big part of the country now.
Against wealthy people.
It's hypocritical because he's not walking the walk. He's not talking the talk.
But do you think he was talking about his inability to deal with Congress and his trying to do what he thinks is the right thing, and maybe he's just being met with a stone wall with Congress? Don't you think maybe that he was trying to say that, Congress, have my back?
Do you believe that? Do you believe, Kyle, let me ask you, do you believe that's what he's going for? Or was he going for Americans, the rich, need to have the poor's back and vice versa?
How many times last night did President Obama say, put the bill on my desk, I'll sign it? Or, if you put it,
I'll work with them. He says, do the work, and then you bring
That is
it
a
to my
perfect
desk.
example of exactly the division.
That's what we don't want.
Tracy, Kyle, sorry.
exactly what the president is doing with respect to it. He is creating a division and saying, put it on my desk, let me sign off on it, and he's pushing the blame off on Congress. He has a monopoly on hypocrisy.
Look, the Democrats have had control of Congress for 2 years during his presidency. The president could have had anything he wanted. What did he give us? 3 incredibly bad policies: Obamacare, Dodd-Frank, and a stimulus plan that has provided absolutely no jobs whatsoever.
Either of the three
to
last
suggest
night.
that he wants a bill on his desk is ridiculous.
And we'll let that be the last word for now. For now. Great job. Thank you all. Love these panels, and we're still taking your thoughts on it as well at Kelly@foxnews.com. Coming up next.